Hi guys, we're back again. I'm Steph, continuing the holiday turkey series. We've already roasted the turkey. Oh, it was so good, so moist and juicy. And then we made some gravy with the drippings from that turkey. And then on to now part 3. I have put the bones from the turkey back in to the roaster, and I let it simmer low and slow for probably 12, 16 hours, like wholly roasted. I haven't even, gave it a stir, I think once, but the bones have just, everything's fallen apart. Just all the bones have come apart, and this is just smelling so wonderful. So the next step in making our turkey soup or turkey stew, let me just roll up my sleeves, take off my watch. The next step, I'm going to pull the pan out, and I've got this container here to catch all the liquid, and a strainer to catch all the bones and meat. There's still some onions and carrots left in that. And we are going to sit here. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to pull all the meat off and discard the bones into this bowl. But first, isn't that always the way you get doing something? I've got fresh, clean, washed hands, and my nose is itchy. All right. Oh my goodness. So first, I'm just going to take this out. This is what held the turkey carcass. This on the lid. There we go. And I am going to slowly, like I said, I washed my hands just before I started this. Take some of that out. Oh, this was 2 gallons of water. The bones from a 16 or 17 pound turkey. That is most of it. But I'm going to scoop out all the meat and bones and everything, put it into the strainer, and then pull out the bones. And what we'll have left is a turkey soup with, we've got tons of meat. So the meat I'll just put back in the turkey soup. Bones will go in the bowl. Just a big onion. I I really like getting my hands right in there. There are a few tiny, tiny, tiny little bones, and the best way to find them is to use your fingers. All right, so that took a little while. We've got all this bone, big chunks of onion, the fat, the skin, all the little undesirables. There was a ton of meat still on that bird. That is going to make some awesome stew. Oops, just wipe this up. So next, there, I'm going to plug this back in. There we go. Turn it to about 200. I'm going to dump the turkey broth back in. All right. So as this comes back to a simmer, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab some of the leftover potato, onion, and carrots that we roasted. We're going to chop them up, put them back in, as well as I'm going to bring down a bit of a roux. If you don't know, a roux is water and flour that has been mixed together and warmed up, cooked out a little bit, and we're going to use that to start thickening our soup to turn it more into a stew. And then once that is all done, I think I'm actually going to make some dumplings. Turkey stew and dumplings. Nothing much better. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've grabbed my potatoes, carrots, and onions. Also washed my hands again. And I grabbed a little chopper because we're making this into a stew. I don't really care much whether they're nice, precisely chopped vegetables. There we go. So we've got kind of a near fine dice. There's some bigger pieces, but nothing too big, and some smaller pieces. It's kind of a shortcut. I like to find any ways possible to add more fruits and vegetables to my meals. So having a little chopper like this to chop up extra vegetables and put them in soups and sauces, gravies, just anything is so good. And because it's on there, because these were actually roasted with the turkey, they're just going to add more of that flavor to our stew. Shake it around. Oops. Put a little bit too much. They didn't get, the big ones didn't, ones on top didn't get chopped. So after Christmas this year, like I said, I made this all before, like 2 weeks ago, out at the in-laws, and it was so good. I'm doing it all again. Small difference I'm doing this time. Last time I chopped the carrots and potatoes and stuff into nice tiny little squares, a nice little dice. I ended up then freeze drying it and have this awesome freeze dried soup. As you can see, the carrots and potatoes are chopped nice and fine. That helps with rehydrating later. So we did a soup, so kind of like this. Like I said, instead of chopping the vegetables like this, I did a nice fine hand chop, and just brought it all to a boil and a simmer and went from there. We want more of a stew this time, so that's why I'm adding the roux. So all our vegetables are added. Oh, this is looking and smelling so good. Just going to turn it up for a little bit. So like I said, we already did a chicken soup with a clear stock, kind of like this, but chopped vegetables instead of food process, finely chopped. This time we want more of a stew, a hearty stew. Just going to give this another shake. This is just water and flour. I don't know, about 2 cups of flour and just under, and probably 24 ounces of water. Stir it as I'm at it. And just like I mentioned in the gravy video, this will do similar to a cornstarch and water to help thicken it to get our stew consistency. So I'm going to let this cook and thicken up and do its thing. And we'll be back in a little while when we're ready to make the dumplings. All right, so I just wanted to give that a little wipe before we start on our dumplings. Grab my ingredients. And here we go. So it's a fairly easy dumpling recipe. We have to make, a normal pot of stew or chicken and dumplings. You would start with 1 cup of flour. I'm using a non-bleached, never bleached, all-purpose flour. And some people like to put parsley in it. I don't have any, so I'm not going to. You want 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Then 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but instead of salt, I'm just going to add a little bit more of our smoldering smoked applewood seasoning. It's got some salt in it, and I think this might bring some more flavor to the actual dumpling as you get into the middle of it. Then you want 2 tablespoons of some sort of fat or oil. Some people use the fat that they've taken off of the soup. That stuff that I scraped off in my gravy video. You can use any type of oil or butter. So I just have some avocado oil. It's in a spray, but it's just plain avocado oil. And then 1/2 cup of milk. I just have some. Lid didn't want to come off. 1/2 cup of cold milk. And as a little extra, besides my flavoring, my spices that we used on the turkey, I like to add some cheese. So I've got some nice old cheddar. And it's really quite simple. Those are the measurements I got from the recipe, but as we've said before, I generally don't measure. I go by feel, by look, by taste, as everything comes together. So with this, you want all your dry ingredients first. And I'm going to about double it. So that's probably about 1 cup. Oops, I guess I had a measuring cup in there. I'm going to go for about a little bit more. I'm going to go about that much because we have a very large pot of turkey stew here. And then I don't have a spoon with me, so we'll just, it's about a teaspoon. We've got, I think it looks closer to 3 cups. That should do. I'm going to go about that much. Maybe a little. That much for the seasoning or the salt. And before we put in our wet, I'm going to grate in some cheese. So the way I like to open my cheese packets, cut open the top, and then I take a knife. This is a really sharp knife, but I'm able to push it down in a way so it doesn't cut the plastic. And I can then pull out my cheese. And then I have lots to wrap over so you don't get that hard end if you don't wrap it quite right. just going to grate in some cheese. And again, before I start doing any cooking, I've always washed my hands, so my hands are freshly clean. I've worked in restaurants many times. I have my food safe handling. And none of this is for sale, so it's just for, family consumption. So before you get to the wet ingredients, we want to mix our dry ingredients because this is going to come together quite quickly once we get our dry ingredients in, our wet ingredients in. If you want a fluffier dumpling, then you want to stir it once you've added your wet. You want to stir it as little as possible, just enough to incorporate everything. It's a little dry down here. Keep it dry down here for the freeze dryer. So we've got dehumidifiers running all the time. So that should be well incorporated now. Now I'm going to add a bunch of my oil. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I have a lot of flour in here. Let's go. That's probably closer to 4 or 5 tablespoons. And then I'm going to pour my milk in as I stir this. So notice I still have some milk in the bottom. You just want enough to bring it all together. Scrape the sides and smush it in the middle. Scrape the sides and mush it in the middle. And I don't think I even need the rest of that milk. Nope, it doesn't look like. So I don't want them overly wet. You can even get your hands in here too. Oh yeah. So if I put the rest of that milk in, I think that would have been too much. But you want kind of a wet dough. It's still sticking to me a bit, but that's okay. Some people like it a stickier dough, so all of that milk would have been fine. But let's take off this, that lid, and you see it's just simmering away, just a slight simmer. Those mushrooms have rehydrated and sunk. They were floating on the top at the beginning there because they were dry. And we've thickened up quite a bit. This will be great. So after with the dumplings, or after some nice thick toasted bread with this poured all over it. So I'm just going to grab some balls. I'm not packing it tight, just enough to keep it together and dropping them in. You want to make sure you're not putting them on top of each other. It's okay if they go down underneath the surface. As they cook, they'll come back up. Get the last of that dough and cheese. And there we go. That's how easy it is to make dumplings. We'll just keep them going here, letting them sit for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if any of the top bits look doughy still, we'll just turn them over, let it go for another 3-4 minutes, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to put the lid on, and we'll be back. Okay, I'm back. It's been about maybe 15 minutes. One good thing about this is it's a low and slow. Like I said, I don't measure, just have it on in the background and let it do its thing. So our stew is thickened up. Our dumplings have risen to the top. Just gonna flip them over. I don't think they didn't look too gooey on top because it's been like I said, about 15 minutes. I'm gonna scoop one out. Put the lid back on. I'm gonna turn that off. And here we go. Here we are. A nice bowl of turkey stew with dumpling. Great way to use up that turkey carcass. The inside of that dumpling is nice and moist, but not raw. This on a cold winter's afternoon, such a great meal. It doesn't get much better. So what I'm going to do with this, because made about 2 gallons of soup or stew. So that's about the same amount that I made when I made this soup. So we're going to have a few bowls over the next couple of days, but most of it I'm going to put into our freeze dryer pans and then load it up into the freeze dryer. That way, when we're out camping or later this year, I might actually be deploying. And anytime I'm homesick, want some taste of home, I can make myself a cup of soup or a cup of stew and remember my home. Easy on the go, because why not? Don't forget to like, subscribe. I almost missed it, but we finally reached 500 subscribers. So what a way to start off the new year with 500 subscribers finally. So if there's anything you guys want to see me do, more freeze drying stuff, more cooking, more crafts. The sky's almost the limit. It's winter time, so not too much outside stuff. I don't like the cold. But I'm looking forward to making many more videos and keeping on the journey. Because why not?